The Democratic Alliance says it will challenge the constitutionality of the Expropriation Bill. The bill makes provision for the expropriation of property that is deemed useful for the public and the state. Joining us now is Dr. Annelie Lotriet, DA Deputy Chief Whip. Dr. Lotriet, a very good afternoon to you, and thank you so much for joining us.
Good afternoon.
Just on that, I mean, why is the DA challenging the constitutionality? On what grounds specifically are you challenging this?
We're challenging this because what has happened now is that milk compensation has now been brought into the ANC tried to amend Section 25 of the Constitution, the property clause, property rights clause, and they failed. So now it's brought into the Expropriation Bill by the back door, and it is unconstitutional. The whole process, as stipulated in the bill, does not comply with the principle of legality or constitutionality.
And what process then are you taking as the DA to challenge this?
Well, the first step is that we are writing to the President. We have drafted a letter. It will be sent to him on Tuesday, in which we refer to Section 79(1) of the Constitution, which says that if the President, before the President signs this bill into law, that if there are any reservations regarding the constitutionality of the bill, he should refer it back to the National Assembly to consider the constitutionality. So we implore the President to do that because it is his duty, his constitutional duty to do that. However, if that is not done, we will then proceed to apply to the Constitutional Court to test and make a judgment on the constitutionality of this particular bill. Because we have to remember that Chapter 25, the Property Rights Clause, is part of the Bill of Human Rights in our Constitution. And you always have to balance the rights of the property owner and the state. So you cannot have the rights of the state weighing much heavier than that of the individual, the citizen of the country.
Dr. Lotriet, if you say that asking the President to take it back to the National Assembly based on how the bill was voted for, I mean, are you expecting anything different if it's taken back? Because eventually it will come down to who supports the bill in the Assembly.
Indeed it does, but we believe that we should follow all the processes available to us before approaching the Constitutional Court. We hope that members of the ANC will reconsider based on the fact that you cannot have an unconstitutional bill because it will go to court and it will not meet or pass constitutional muster.
Is there, I mean, any other parts of the bill that the DA would maybe to a certain extent agree with, or is that the one particular section that you mentioned that you feel is unconstitutional?
Yes, look, the bill in its totality is not problematic because it is an amendment bill of a 1975 expropriation bill, and it was time the bill. So for most, we don't have a problem. The problem comes in with milk compensation, the process in which determining that, and then also having a clause in the bill stating that the expropriation authority, the state, can, based on public purpose, just expropriate without compensation. Now, that is too vague to be constitutional. It must be much more specific because you don't know who or what the expropriation authority will be and what the particular purpose will be. So that in itself is a major problem for us. And then the question of just and equitable compensation.
But how would you then, as the DA, like to see them, I guess, rephrased or changed, if in any way? Because I think at the end of the day, it's more about how the bill is worded and how vague or clear it is to a certain extent. Dr. Lotriet?
Absolutely, because we believe that there should be certainty among property owners. This is too vague. So it has to be rephrased in that public purpose is defined as to what exactly is public purpose, so that it's not open and in the hands of a minister, for example. So that should have to change with stipulations. This is what is considered to be public purpose. And in the process, for example, in the current bill, as it stands now, the expropriating authority can in fact take possession of the property before, even if the property owner has now approached the court. So he effectively loses his property, which is already expropriation without compensation. So that has to change. So the process, the legal process in determining just and equitable also has to change so that it is in line with Section 25 of the Constitution. So those are the main things that we are concerned about, and it can be easily amended.
And just finally, then, you did say that you are writing to the president, and so that it might be or should be taken back to the National Assembly. Should that not happen, what would be the next step? Going to the courts? Have you already started that ball rolling, or you are waiting the president's response?
Well, we will first wait for the president's response. That will then go to the ANC caucus in Parliament, depending on how they then, if they do not want to provide any amendments to the bill as it stands to cure this fatal flaw in the bill, then we will have to approach the Constitutional Court, and that is definitely on the cards.
Dr. Lotriet, thank you so much for coming through to speak to us.